Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy!
If you are listening to this podcast, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. You're in the mood to watch a Daniel Kaluuya movie. So you fire up his IMDb, see one with Lakeith Stanfield, where Lakeith has been compromised by a white man, and Daniel Kaluuya is the protagonist navigating complex racial dynamics in the world around him. I'm not referring to Jordan Peele's Get Out. I'm of course referring to Judas and the Black Messiah, and I'm joined by my lovely guests, Ben and Tyler.
Hello.
That's me. I'm one of those.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Ben.
To chat about this movie.
Why did we do that?
I don't know. It's like people, that's like the first episode they watched, they're like, all right, maybe that's Tyler.
Yeah, who knows?
That's what they said. So,
And then you'll always be Tyler. Like they'll have to, they'll be like, wait,
hold
okay.
on. No, it's all right. Yeah, I'm Tyler.
Wouldn't be the first time that's happened to us.
True.
We are Three Films and a Podcast. We're three folks challenging each other and all of you to watch movies you've never seen before. We found ourselves watching the same things over and over again. And so this movie club, this collective movie club, we're just trying to watch as much new things as we can. And we challenged you to watch them along with us.
Yeah.
You can find us anywhere you have podcasts. You've obviously found us somehow if you're listening to this, but we prefer to be seen on YouTube.
We showered for this, so please, come on.
First time in months.
Yeah. The best way to consume this pod is on YouTube or on Spotify video, but you can listen to us as well because Tyler has a great timbre to his voice.
Thank you.
And it's contagious.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say about me.
I go to sleep every night. I say, Ben, someday you're going to sound just like Tyler.
Someday.
Someday. It will not be today. Today is not that day.
Not that day.
We're wrapping up our coverage of Black history stories. And I chose Judas and the Black Messiah because I am a fan of several of these actors in the movie. And I also think this era of the civil rights time in American history is super awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And also just like some of these historical figures are undercovered in media. And so we've kind of, the last few years has kind of seen a spike in some of those stories. And that's why we get movies like this where just super awesome performances and some more context to the history that we grew up maybe not hearing so much about.
Yeah.
Or anything about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like growing up, you hear like three things happen. Like Rosa Parks didn't go to the back of the bus. Martin Luther King said something cool and then he died. That's pretty much all you learn about. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, I mean, I guess that's why they call it being woke, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty shocking. And I don't know, it's been fun, might not be the right word, but it's been fun to explore these stories. Yeah. And to learn more stuff and to just feel like, you know, we're watching movies, right? I'm not like reading history books and I'm not like reading, articles or whatever from the time, but at the very least, getting some familiarity with these things that have happened has been great for me. Little bit draining.
For sure.
But it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been cool. I mean, so far, obviously, like learning about the Gullah people was super interesting. I really enjoyed The Five Bloods last week. Like that was a really interesting insight on like serving a country that doesn't necessarily even view you as a full human being. You know, like what does that do to you? And then this one, like I think I had heard about Fred Hampton. You know, I'd heard about him, but it really boils down to it's like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. Like especially all of us kind of coming up in the Utah school system. It was just like this is what it was, but then everything was fine. It's like, okay, cool, great. Like that was great that the three of them were there to fix it, you know? So it's nice that even if it is holding like a narrative story and not necessarily a documentary, like to still kind of learn some things about it. This movie had some great like special features to it because Chairman's son, you know, is now like the leader and kind of him talking about it and stuff. So it was it was awesome. I'm glad that we watched this. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So those of you who aren't familiar with this movie, it basically follows the story of a guy who the FBI paid to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, and his insights basically led to the assassination of one of its leaders, Fred Hampton. And so it's super interesting how involved the FBI was in dismantling so much of of the leadership in that community. But yeah, so I remember when this dropped, I had wanted to see it since. Obviously, like Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield have had like a great decade.
Yeah.
And so it's been fun to watch them. Jesse Plemons too. And so like I saw it come on. Did it come out on HBO?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was really weird because it was one of those where like they released it for the month, because it was like in the pandemic. And
that's right.
It's like, it'll be on here for a month, but then it's leaving. It was like right at the time of like Oscar voting and stuff. And they removed it. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is the time that everyone should be watching this.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it still worked out for Daniel Kaluuya, but it's like, you guys need to make an exception to this rule. And like, this needs to stay here. And it didn't, I don't remember it coming back on until after the Oscars were over. So yeah, that was like a weird move on their part.
Yeah. So I was drawn to it. And I was excited to check it out. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting to start off with the way they started off with, well, I guess to give, some spoilers here. This guy who infiltrated the Black Panther Party, he gave an interview in the 90s.
Oh man.
About his experience doing it. And yeah, it was a tell-all. He basically told how he did it. It wasn't super repentant. Like he was totally, he was assuring the people that he was like at peace with what he had done and all that. But before the night that that series aired to air his interview, he committed suicide.
It was crazy.
So this movie starts off with Lakeith Stanfield's character doing the interview. And I thought that was a really interesting way to start off the movie.
It really was, because it lets you know, all right, well, he at least made it to this age. Like he's not going to die throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not necessarily worried about his safety, but as the movie unravels, it's like, oh, how do you sleep at night? Almost,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you live with yourself? I think it did a really cool, it reminded me of Elvis, where that last performance, Austin Butler singing at the table, but then we do one more cut and it's the actual footage of Elvis like singing the song at the end, the Unchained Melody.
Spoiler.
And they did they did the same thing here, where it was just like, it's Lakeith talking, but then we get another cut and it's like the actual dude.
Right.
It's that actual footage. I'm like, oh, it is like, you just kind of see it in his eyes a little bit. Just like the years of remorse and guilt and whatever I'm sure he had. So I enjoy that when that happens. Like if there's ever like a based on a true story, whatever, I want something like that. Or I want like during the credits, like show me like give me the update, like show me some real footage. And I think this did a great job of kind of both of those things, like using some of the real footage, but also telling us like, how did the rest of this unravel throughout the years? Like how did this affect the Black Panther Party and where is it at now? All that kind of stuff. So I think it did a really nice job with that.
Yeah. And I think, again, haven't done any research as to like how many liberties they took in writing the story for the screen. But the way it's presented in this movie, like, Bill didn't really have a choice,
Yeah.
Granted, he got himself into that trouble. He's a street hustler and he's out there, doing nefarious things. But like, it's a really compelling story device when you can see why they made the choice that they did, despite the fact that it's soul crushing. I mean, he loves Fred and he loves these people. He truly does. And I truly believe, at least the way it was portrayed in this movie, that he did feel that way, but he was sort of in a rock and a hard place. And where he came from and the community he lived in and the background that he had, this is the best chance for him to succeed. Right. And it's just so predatory on all fronts, like everything the FBI was doing and just the entire situation. It's just, this movie, like this, it really kind of messed me up. And I talked about it a little bit when we talked about Daughters of the Dust, because I watched Daughters first and then I watched this movie afterwards. I think my mic cut out when I talked about it in the Daughters episode. So if you listen to that episode, you didn't hear it. It doesn't really matter, but it was just like, watching those two movies and thinking about what's going on with the Gullah people and what has been going on and just their whole history from the very ugly beginnings to what it is now and how it's being erased. And then everything that happens in the Judas and the Black Messiah, just like, the white guilt was it was through the roof. And honestly, like, I really loved this movie. But I did not have fun watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause it just made me feel so shitty. Not just even like my own personal white guilt. That's not the point of this. Like, that's fine for me to feel I should not enjoy what my ancestors have done. Right. You know what I mean? But it's just like thinking about what it must have been like to be in the position that all the people in the Black Panther Party were in, or at least the people in this movie and the people that we're presented with, and the options that they have and the options that they're forced into, and just everything about it, man. It kind of had my head spinning, and it really was difficult for me to like place how I felt about the movie as like a movie, right? Just because the story was, I'm sure I'm not the only one there, but it just was like, I guess what I'm saying is don't watch this back to back with another intense, thought provoking.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because like Spike Lee probably has equal or more like damning depictions of, you know, our white society than like anyone else. But he at least has enough of his like Spikeisms and like style and like all these other things that just like make it enjoyable.
It sort of separates it from reality a little bit, enough that you can kind of like,
because you could watch Do the Right Thing and like obviously you feel like awful and horrible, but like it's such an awesome.
But you also get to hang out with Bugging Out and Radio Rakim, and
whereas this one doesn't have as much of those like style points.
Totally. But it was this great movie. Like I really did think it was well made, but I just don't know how much I enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
That's totally fair.
But super glad that I watched it, and I would recommend that anyone do watch. I think I rated it 4 stars on Letterboxd. You know, I think it was really well done. And Jesse Plemons. I mean, everyone's really great in it. Jesse Plemons is awesome. Shout out, Jesse Plemons. It's weird to like, I guess not weird to praise the white people in this movie, but I just thought about like thinking about being Martin Sheen playing Hoover the way he played him, and Plemons, who is playing this, like, he's presenting himself as like nice and helpful and friendly, but I don't believe that to be true.
I think he genuinely thinks he is.
Right. But I think it's so predatory, you know, that he knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. The FBI knows exactly what they're doing. Right. And so I would personally be afraid to play those roles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess I don't really know what I'm saying. I enjoyed those performances, and I thought it was cool to see them played the way that they played them. Cause it would be so easy to not play Hoover as such an asshole. Like that would be the things that he was saying as J. Edgar Hoover. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to say it acting or not, you know what I mean? And so it's like, shout out, you know, someone's got to do it. Right. Cause these stories need to be told. And again, who knows how much truth there is to it. I believe that it's more or less truthful, but
I think so. I mean, it's based on facts and stuff. And going back to Do the Right Thing, I remember Totoro even saying that before it came out. Like, it's asking Spike, like, let everyone know this isn't me, because he says some gnarly shit in that movie, you know. But it's like, I'm acting, but please, like, I don't want to be like crucified for this. Like, I'm just playing this role. And it's kind of the same thing here. Like, Plemons does a good job where it's like, you also understand his motivations. Like, he's trying to advance his career. Right. So he's like, cool, if I have an informant that I can use like to move myself up, then that's great. Like, you understand everyone's motivation here, which I think lets you kind of empathize with what everyone's doing. Like, Plemons is awful though. Like, when Bill, it's Bill, right? Yeah. When Bill is like, I'm out, and Roy's like, oh man, it's crazy. Cause remember like 7 years where you're going to go to prison? You know, I could like bring that back up if you leave. And it's just that kind of stuff where he's just kind of got him by the nuts, you know, where he's got to do it. Yeah. It's just, it was really well told. I mean, I was blown away at the end of the movie at the credits to learn that like Chairman Fred was 21. or whatever. When I was like, what? Like, I thought this was like, he's in his mid-30s, like how well-spoken he is. And just influential. Influential. Exactly. Like bringing all these people together, these different cultures, these different perspectives. And just to know that all actually happened. Like the, what was it referred to as like the Rainbow Brigade or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh shoot, I can't remember.
Like Rainbow Coalition, is that what it was?
Yeah.
So to know that like that all actually happened, it's like this dude is just like 21. Like that's so crazy that it's kind of in that age group when you're that motivated that you have the energy and like the whatever. It's like, yeah, I am going to change the world. I'm going to do it. And I think we saw that a lot in this performance. Just everyone just did a wonderful job here. I was stoked to see, I forget what his name is, but he was in Moonlight in like that middle section. But Ashton Sanders, like I loved him in Moonlight. And so to see him here, he was the dude that had like the hat tilted with the glasses on all the time. So he was great. And then Riri Williams, from MCU, like seeing her here as well. Dominique Thorne, she was so good. So yeah, awesome cast, like great directing. Yeah, I don't know. Even just that from that opening scene, like that carjacking, whatever, it's just like, oh, okay, this is kind of what we're in for. And again, I think they did a wonderful job of helping us understand everyone's perspective and being like, okay, I get it. Like even Hoover, it's like the perspective is like coming from a racist perspective, but it's just like Fred Hampton is more dangerous than any other country or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the most dangerous person. It's like, Jesus, you guys, like you're going after this. And the way the Black Panther Party gets depicted, like, movie accurately, but just like showing like, yeah, they were the first people to have food for kids, for breakfast for kids in the morning. Like they started that shit. Like it wasn't like the negative connotation that I think a lot of it gets. Like they were just for the improvement,
someone's got to do it, right? Like the government's failing them. The government's actively, predatorizing.
Preying
upon them, what I mean?
Just like handicapping them and everything.
It's I think what you said about being able to understand everyone's perspective and motivations is super important, especially for this story, because it's a tough one, man. Mm-hmm. It's a tough one. And if you can't fully understand everyone's motivations, I feel like this movie is, I feel like, biased against the government and the FBI. Right. Yeah. But I just feel like without all those motivations and all those perspectives, it could just really feel tilted in any one direction in a negative way. Yeah. So I think it helped it balance the movie out for me personally.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, like the end of the Captain America series on Disney Plus, I thought like by the time it got to the end, I felt like it had kind of softened to a way more like it went from like very action top heavy to way more like, what's the right word?
Like the discourse.
Diffused discourse.
Yeah.
Like message heavy.
But one thing that was cool about what he said was like, they're talking about this terrorist character. I can't even remember her name. And he like raises the question, like you guys are all like demonizing this group of people for thinking the way they do, but you haven't even asked yourself why they feel that way to begin with, or why they think that way. And I think like that largely can summarize America's shortcomings with the Black Panther Party and like the Marxism that they follow. It's like they demonize the ideology, and you can find the flaws in the ideology, but you have to understand like, why do they feel this to begin with?
Right.
Like, what have we created that is making them feel this way? And so to your guys' point about just like hearing a different perspective, like we don't need more movies where we take the side of the FBI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
But we'll go on to our elevator pitch.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
There's scenes in every movie that you'd love to share with people, but what we want to know is that if you are stuck on an elevator while you're watching this movie and you have to convince the person you're stuck on an elevator with to watch it, what scene are you pulling up on your phone to show them, to convince them to watch this movie with you? Because we're a movie club. We want everyone to watch what we're watching. And Tyler, what are you pulling up?
Well, I'm glad I get to go first because my real answer is both of your answers. But So that's when I say that, the scene that I'm gonna say is actually the scene when I was watching the movie. It's like, oh, this is what I'm gonna pick for my elevator pitch. But the scenes that I remember after the movie was over the most are your two.
Okay.
So I think those are the two best scenes. But I really liked the scene when he goes into it's like a white pride rally.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what it is.
It's like the local KKK chapter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Fred and the Black Panthers walk in there, and it looks like it's going to be some heavy confrontation, which it is, but not in the way that you expect, because Fred is able to get across the point that they're all on the same team. They're this group of agitated white people and this group of the Black Panthers. They're all marginalized in their own ways, different ways, but still like they're both underserved and whatever. The movie's going to do a better job of explaining it. And the clip that I'm sure you'll post in there will, be more eloquent and fun to watch. But I just thought that was really cool. And I thought it's something that I actually believe is like, I just wish people could understand like how much they have in common versus the things they think that are dividing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think like all the discourse online and in whatever, in your day-to-day life with people finding, it's so easy to find ways to disagree now. I think people forget to think about the ways that they agree and the way that they're similar. And
I think you're wrong about that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it, Tyler.
We all disagree with that.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, I thought that was an important message. And I liked it because I thought it was going to be like, it just turned out to be a confrontation that was different than I expected.
Yeah.
And so I think, that could be a cool way to show someone like this movie does things that it does things unexpected.
I bet y'all babies getting the same bullshit education. Y'all paying the same taxes to get your heads whooped in by the same motherfucking pigs. Ain't that a trip? We pay them. Huh? We pay the pigs to run us off of our corners.
And even like the beginning of that scene, because I believe they're sitting in the car outside, right?
Yeah.
And there's like, everyone leave your weapons here or whatever, right? And the one kid's like, I'm not going in there without a weapon. And we don't know yet where they're going.
Right.
It's like, oh man, this is going to be intense. And then we find out what it is. Like, yeah, I guess that, that kind of makes sense. So that's a great scene. Yeah. And they talk about, aren't you tired of your kids getting a bad education? Are you tired of paying taxes, but not getting what you paid for? So it was amazing what he was able to pull off. Mine, I think it was just like, it's kind of the Oscars speech or like clip that they show when he won, but it's just that
as well,
first big like rally, I guess, with everyone where he's having everyone repeat, I am a revolutionary.
Yeah.
I need everybody to repeat after me. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am.
And you've got Lakeith standing like in the front and him making eye contact with Jesse Plemons, who's like playing the role, like he's chanting with everyone else. But I think that's when like one of the best times that we see the inner struggle with Lakeith, with Bill, because like I think he does believe in what he's saying, but he is looking at this guy that's like made him an informant,
right?
So it was really kind of interesting. It was like to really reduce this movie, and maybe I'll take this out because I don't even know, but it's just like this was also a version of like She's All That or like 10 Things I Hate About You, where it's just like someone has to go into something that they don't necessarily like, but then it's like, oh, actually I do end up liking you, so like there's like this weird rom-com trope, but like he's like, I don't want to be in there, like I don't want to go out with her.
I paid $5 to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out I like the Black Panther Party.
Yeah. It's like, actually I do like these guys. So
take the glasses off and shake your hair out. It's not bad.
Yeah. I just kept thinking about that while watching, like, oh, this is like a weird, like almost parallel like rom-com thing. But I just really love that scene. I think if anything, like that's where Daniel Kaluuya just like really comes through with that powerful performance. I'll talk about it later, but it was giving me like flashbacks to Denzel, and Malcolm X. It's like, oh, he is this character, like his dialect. Like, I mean, Daniel Kaluuya being British, like with the way he was speaking, like he had that Fred Hampton voice down. It was perfect. So that's what I would go with, is the I am a revolutionary scene.
Also, another entry into what I think is becoming one of my favorite new movie tropes that I started noticing really during The Killing is like the face through the crowd.
Yeah.
The fixed face. Like,
yes.
In that shot, like Plemons is almost breaking the fourth wall. He's looking directly at the camera. I love that. I'm like, every time I see that in a movie, I'm like, put it on the list. So at some point we should compile. That's not what we're doing this episode. We should compile a face through the crowd.
That's
Rushmore.
a great call. Yeah.
I love that shot every time I see it.
That's so good.
Mine. So actually, I have two, and they both involve car thefts. Actually,
Nice.
I have the one, which was my original one, is just like the introduction of Bill, where he fakes being in the FBI to steal from what we find out are the crowns.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's crowns. Yeah.
Super cool scene. He goes in. He tries to he has a fake badge, and he's describing the car out front. And anyway. You'll have to watch the movie to find out what happens to him when he tries to steal this car.
I think it's well done though, because he's keeping his face shielded from the people he's robbing, but also us as the viewers don't know yet, like, who is this person? Yeah. It's just like, we don't even get to see who he is until it gets revealed to the crowns, which is, I think, a really cool device.
I thought that was cool. But with the actual scene that I would show if I were stuck on an elevator is later on when he's in a car with a group of the Black Panthers, and the woman in the passenger seat pulls a gun on him.
Yeah.
And it's like questioning him about questioning his loyalty.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then the group are like, if you're a car thief, hotwire this car.
Yeah.
And you as an audience, you don't know if he actually knows how to hotwire
sure.
a car.
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah, the way he did, because he's just like BSing. He's like, I hotwired it. They're like, oh, then do it. He's like, oh shit, I did. I mean, I didn't know. No, just him like stuttering through that whole scene of just like trying to come up with stuff like, oh no, I got it. Whatever. That's a great moment of suspense there.
Do we think he got lucky in that moment, or do you think he knew how to hotwire a car?
He looked relieved. It felt like they were depicting him as like, maybe he knew how to, but he'd never done it.
Right. Like
exactly.
Someone had told him how to do it or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I would have done the same thing. Like, there's a group of wires here. I'm just going to start touching them until something happens. And I kind of felt like that's
what he was nervous doing. Laughs. Like,
to this one.
Yeah. Can we be done? Can we go?
These Chevys, they work a little different than the Fords,
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a little bit
longer.
Anyway. That's an awesome scene.
Yeah. That's a scene I would show. And once we get the car hotwired, you know where we're going. We're driving straight to Adam Driver's driving.
Every red light on the way.
Yes, we are.
I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest moment of my life.
And we'll still be late.
Yeah.
And he'll be very angry because he's asked us to get there early enough to set up a nice double feature.
Yep. He's
going to show Judas and the Black Messiah, but he wants each of us to pick a movie to play with Judas and the Black Messiah. Then if you were, in the room with Adam right now and he, had the slate empty for you to choose a movie to put in there, what are you picking?
I mean, it came down to two. One of them, you kind of mentioned at the beginning, this does have a lot of parallels with Get Out. So I think that would make sense. But to get more eyes on the movie, I think I'd pick Widows. And this is like the connection here is just Daniel Kaluuya. Like he's very much he's not even the protagonist of this movie, but he's like the biggest part of this movie, and he won the Oscar for it and everything. But in Widows, it's a very small supporting role, but honestly, it feels like it has the same amount of impact. Like he is a menacing right-hand person to like the bad guy who's played by Brian Tyree Henry. So it's the two of them, but he's just like, he'll scare the shit out of you. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's not even like what he's saying or anything like that. Just like he can give you a look. He just gives such a powerful performance in this movie. So I would just want to kind of highlight, like, if you give Daniel Kaluuya 50% of the dialogue, or if you give him 5%, like he's going to bring it every time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a great movie, in and of itself, Colin Farrell, Viola Davis, like Elizabeth Debicki's in it. Like it's a really great movie that I don't think enough people have seen. So I would recommend it to anybody, but just another strong performance from Daniel Kaluuya.
Awesome.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. We're two of the people that haven't seen it.
maybe it'll be a unsung gem.
Oh.
Season 4. We'll see.
Keep
Who
your
knows?
eyes
What do
Yeah.
you think? Write in the comments.
Yeah. Please
Should
do.
it be an unsung gem?
Let us know.
Subscribe if not. Like if yes.
Yes.
And do both just because you love us.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a double answer as well. Like when I think about my experience watching this movie, I was like, I don't want to do 2 heavy movies in a row. You know what I mean? Especially because like the themes with which you could tie these movies together. Like if I'm going to lean into like the civil rights era story, right? I can't do 2 heavy ones in a row. It's too much.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, okay, what's another one that's deals with the same things, but it's a little bit lighter. And so we're gonna head over to the mouse. We're gonna ask him for a little bit of help. Maybe play Remember the Titans.
Okay.
But
Get
as
some
we,
locker room singing in there.
yeah, sure. It's it's heavy, makes you think, but it's lighter. It's more digestible. It's Disney, for crying out loud. Right? It's Disney.
I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Oh.
You haven't seen Remember the Titans?
I have not.
Should we watch that as an unsung gem?
No.
I really like that movie. It is
I do
like
too.
it is the Disney version, or if it's not actually Disney, you get what I'm saying by the Disney version.
Got Denzel.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the-
like Disney's Malcolm X.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
the
That's
family
all, yeah.
version of
No.
like a civil rights story, right? And I really do like that movie. But as we were talking, I started thinking about another way you could tie a movie together, and that's the FBI informant angle. And so if we're going to stay dark and heavy, let's maybe watch The Departed, right?
Okay.
We're going to go for a movie that's
Wow.
mostly black people to a movie that's mostly white people. But this,
Yeah.
same themes. The Irish community in America has had similar, maybe I should think about how I say that. They've been marginalized as well. They've had their struggles as well. I don't know. Those are 2 options. We'll let Adam decide. One of them is a much heavier night. I don't know which one would go first.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, flip a coin. But if you're doing Remember the Titans, I would maybe do Remember the Titans second.
Nice.
Just,
You know, lighten it up a
just
little
like
bit after.
you could like sleepy a little bit easier. I
Yeah,
guess. I
yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
So I don't have 2 options, but I feel like I do.
Yeah.
This one I'm going to pick is Black Panther.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, not because it's Black Panther and this was about the Black Panther
Right.
Party.
But that works.
But, and Tyler, you mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, just it showing this different viewpoint kind of gives more context to why there was like sort of a form of militancy in these, political groups.
Yeah.
And that's usually where they get the bad rap from. And I think in many ways, anytime you have any political movement have militancy, it is worrisome,
Mhm.
just
Right.
universally.
For sure.
And one thing I think Black Panther did a good job of was show that way of going about it is wrong, but also not villainize them.
Understandable, but wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like you see Mjobu and Killmonger, think that way and go about it that way for their reasons. And they aren't like wrong
Right.
for
Yeah.
feeling that way.
Sure.
And you can see why they feel that way. And they're not even real bad guys in that movie.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's such a good movie just to like show the complexities of a world that like just has failed that community and how to overcome that in the right ways. And I know I'm saying that as a white man, like that's the right way to overcome it.
Well, at least you didn't.
What do you say to
I just
that?
didn't. Okay.
I want to talk to that guy about women talking. He's like, if it wasn't for the women, honestly, it's a great movie, but
No, he's like, he's just like, it was fine, but it's just like, whatever. We don't
Too-
need to
too
get
much-
into it. But
Too much toys in Toy Story.
yeah.
I actually heard the 2 worst movie takes I've ever heard in person in Portland. That one and another one who told me he didn't like Mad Max Fury Road because nothing happens.
I mean, all right. I don't know.
It's like that movie is only things happening.
That's all that is. That's insane.
Things happen from the second whatever.
That feels like that
Different
guy
movie,
though now
different
is like
conversation, but-
in the he's saying like, oh, it's too woke. I feel like that's what we're hearing now from a lot of people. Like, oh, it's too woke. It's like, no, that's, I don't know. That drives me crazy.
There's people who like just like skipped the movie even still just because they perceived that it, like, if you watched Black Panther, you'd be surprised at like how like politically tame it is, even though it carries like some really big themes for the smarter people.
Just like looking at you guys. Movie Club.
Movie Club. People. Only smart people like Black Panther.
Exactly.
So moving on to our Rushmore Mountain.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
I wish there was a better, because this isn't really a civil rights movie. Would you consider this a civil rights movie? It's like that era.
Yeah. It's I just took it as like takes place in that time.
Yeah. We're going to do civil rights era movies for our Rushmore. Of course, this Judas and the Black Messiah will take one slot, and then among the three of us, we'll come up with the three other options. Tyler, what movie are you throwing up on the Rushmore?
So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pick a movie that I haven't seen, but I want to.
I think this is my favorite thing you do.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I have to. Like I was going through lists. I'm like, well, should I haven't seen a lot of these? You know
Is it Helm's Deep?
It's Helm's Deep.
Not Helm's Deep. Although, so I was going through and I just was kind of looking at different, I've never seen The Green Book. Like I'm looking at a list here. I still haven't seen The Help. Like there's a lot of movies on here that I do want to see. I think The Help would be a good nomination for I've never seen it, so I don't know. I'm just going off this list here. But I found one called Ghosts of Mississippi. The stars Alec Baldwin and Whoopi Goldberg. And it's about Medgar Evers and his family and their quest for justice for the murder of Medgar Evers. And it just sounds interesting. And also I'm a big Bob Dylan guy, and he's got a song about Medgar Evers. And I've always just been interested in that story since that song.
Hey.
And so, sure, let's watch this one.
Give me a Whoopi Goldberg movie with ghosts in the title.
Totally.
And I'm there.
Totally. Yeah.
Coach is in it. Nancy Nelson.
I'd never heard of it. And I just was looking through and I was like, oh, Medgar Evers and, Whoopi Goldberg. So, who knows if it's good or not, but I want to check it out. And so that's what I'll put up on here.
I wish this was coming out months from now so that Ben could put like a disclaimer at the end, like Tyler went back and watched this movie.
He fucking hated it. There was another one too, but I can't find it. Maybe if I think about it, if I can find it.
It is funny knowing what James Woods has turned into, that like he's in this movie about like civil rights and stuff. Like he's such a fucking idiot now. Like it's insane. But
I will say, your answer, Ben, is I think the right answer. It's what I thought of.
Yeah.
Also, shout out To Kill a Mockingbird. I've read the book, never seen the movie.
The movie's actually super awesome.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So
that was going to be mine if one of you guys took.
I'll let you decide. You can either pencil in To Kill a Mockingbird or Ghost of Mississippi for me.
Have we mentioned what you're going to pick? Have we talked about it?
No.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to stick with what I had. It's a movie that we talked about at the first round of this podcast during our Spike Lee joints, and it's Malcolm X. I still think it's just one of the best performances of all time.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt, like, I'll never forgive Al Pacino ever for Scent of a Woman.
Hoo-ah!
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's a super important movie, and it goes through his life, kind of telling everything that happens, why he believes what he does, and how, his viewpoints change and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a wonderful movie, and yeah, I'm just going to mention it anytime I can.
And go check out the second episode of this podcast. Second or third?
I don't remember.
One of the first three.
Second did we Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, and 25th Hour, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie, it's still like when people ask about the podcast and they're like, well, what's one of the best movies you've seen on here? Like Malcolm X is one of the best movies we've covered on here.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And
then Larry Crown.
Larry Crown. Yeah.
1A and 1B, depending on the
day. So mine is, Tyler, you mentioned you wouldn't want to watch like two heavy movies from this era back to back. Well, I left Adam Driver's Drive-In, and he reminded me that he starred in a movie called Black Klansman.
Yes, he did.
Where
he infiltrated the KKK.
See, I've never seen that either.
That is the movie that I would put on the Rushmore for this era.
It's a great choice.
I like it. Will you put
Another
To Kill a
Spike Lee.
Mockingbird on mine instead of the other one?
Okay.
I've
yeah.
never seen either of them, but at least I've read the book To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Sorry, I just
We'll still have the disclaimer that Tyler watched To Kill a Mockingbird. It's still there.
It's on the bottom. I mean, we have 2 Spike Lee joints on this Rushmore, half of it. But
Oh, I
I think
love
that
it.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's good.
This is a quasi Spike Lee episode because we mentioned him so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Defy Bloods
and I
last week.
thought about nominating Do the Right Thing here, both for the drive-in and for this, but I was like, well, this doesn't take place in the civil rights era.
Yeah.
It's the same struggle, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's why I left it off. So it could have been a full Spike Rushmore, which would have been sweet.
Yeah.
That would have been sweet. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We had a lot of, we did not have a lot of fun watching this movie.
I enjoy the exploration and I enjoy talking about it with
Yeah.
you.
We have a lot of fun watching new movies and
Yeah.
having new experiences. It was a great opportunity this round to hear more new stories, American stories, Black history stories. We hope you watch it. We hope you watch all of them from this round. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Man, I do it for my guys. If you diss, then you gotta die. That's a simple fact, simple truth. I could never lie. Dios mío, man, if we see your hand, we chop it off. Let me see your chain. Think you got that at the shopping mall by Cinema. But a GameStop that I shop a lot. I'm shipping phones from the same spot. Bruh. Te quedes.